We'll do soon.
Yeah, if you could pick the result of the fight, what would you want to happen?
A McGregor destructive first round KO where we're saying, what does happen if he fights Makhachev? What does happen if he takes on Oliveira or Ilia Topuria? That's kind of the best case scenario from this, is that we can go into discussions about him legitimately competing at the top again. What do I think is going to happen?
No.
I don't think he's going to score a first round KO. And if he doesn't score a first round KO, I think Holloway's going to piece him up and finish him in round 3 or 4. And Holloway's going to be back on top. And, you know, BMF belt conversations, him Gaethje, him Topuria rematch. There's going to be all kinds of discussions.
Yeah, I mean, like, Conor is so...
When a leading analyst dives into the upcoming showdown with Max Holloway, he's blunt about it. This matchup means everything to him. And that intensity isn't limited to one voice. It's shared by everyone around McGregor's team.
5 rounds, but God, I'm trying to see a world where Max actually finishes Conor without Conor like hurting himself or something or rolling his ankle. But it's not like Max is like a big power puncher. How do you think he could finish him? You think Conor would just literally pucker out and fold?
That's the way I see it.
Yeah, that's what I do think. I think McGregor isn't a 5 round.
Call it a wave of behind-the-scenes chatter breaking loose right as fight week gets underway, fueled by genuine excitement over a legend finally stepping back in. There's conflict mixed in too. A pull between rooting for Conor and not wanting to see Max come up short, especially given how recently he lost his BMF belt to Charles Oliveira. Set aside the striking heavy fight most people expect though. The real prediction here is that this one ends up decided on the ground.
5 years where Conor's been away, Max Holloway has been fighting the very best talent that is available, the best fighters in the world, and oftentimes beating them. Like, for example, his last fight, or his last victory, should I say, was against Dustin Poirier, the man that beat Conor not once, but twice in a row. Yes, for the BMF, he lost his BMF belt, which he took off Dustin Poirier, but he lost that to Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira took him down, okay? As simple as that. Took him down, took his back, right? Tried to choke him out. No shame in that. But Conor McGregor isn't going to do that. He hasn't not got that kind of style. But when you look at the opponents that Max was fighting, we've got Charles Oliveira, Dustin Poirier, Ilia Topuria, Justin Gaethje. Remember, he knocked him out cold and is also the undisputed.
This next take pulls you straight into the sport's inner workings, spotlighting how interim title buzz keeps building over and over. The resume does the talking. He's held nearly every belt the promotion offers, none of it handed to him, and he's now hunting for greatness in a brand new division. On one particular night, a single stunning finish flipped the entire storyline.
Chang Sun Jung, the Korean Zombie, Arnold Allen, Alexander Volkanovski. I mean, the man has fought a who's who of...
How do we get to Conor beats Max? How do we get there? We just hope. I hear the term, and I've heard the term since 1993. I swear to goodness, it's one of the reasons I've made more money than any other fighter in announcing. I swear to goodness. Is because I don't ever say there's a puncher's chance. And I don't just mean that I don't use the word. I don't say stupid. Like, that's a kind of guy. It is a common person. That is a very common phrase to use. I swear to God, I've had so many people ask me, how'd you get into broadcast? I know I'm making myself sound like a jerk right now, but I'm telling you a true story. I swear it's somewhere along the lines that I would never say he has a puncher's chance. And you want to know why I would never say that? There is no such thing. And that isn't literal. But goddamn, it's close. Who do you want to say had a puncher's chance? What do you want to do? You could bring in Ray Mercer versus Tim Sylvia. You could. You could talk about Buster Douglas and Mike Tyson. I think that you'd be appropriate to talk about Foreman and Moore. Oh, and by the way, if you're a big fight expert, you could probably add another couple to the list. But fighting's the world's oldest sport, not to mention it goes on every single Saturday. And I had a hard time coming up with 5. So, is that what you hang your hat on?
With McGregor and Holloway now just days away from sharing the cage, reaction has poured in from every corner of MMA. Current competitors, retired icons, and veteran coaches have all weighed in on whether McGregor can truly climb back to elite form, touching on pressure, speed, and experience. One faction is convinced he's simply past that point. As fight day approaches fast, wagers keep stacking up, with everyone curious about who will walk away with the career-defining win.
But is he going to come back after 5 years off after breaking his leg, walks back into the sport at the highest level, and defeat Max Holloway by first or second round KO? Are we in a fucking fairy tale? Are we in dreamland? Surely there's no way that fucking happens. That would be shocking to me. After all that he's done in the 5 years off, this guy ain't been in the gym every fucking day. He's not been hustling to improve himself and just... If Yuri dipped for 5 years, I'd be fucking terrified for his next opponent. Because I know that dude's sitting in a dark room and training in the fucking woods for 5 straight years, developing this fucking game. I'd be shitting bricks for his next opponent. Conor McGregor, sailing around the world, this business, that business, this allegation, that allegation, this court case, that court case, this drama, that one. This headline, that headline. This picture of him hanging a weight off of his dick, that picture of a weight hanging off of his dick. I don't know if McGregor's getting this one done.
As the build-up toward this rematch intensifies, veteran analyst Chael Sonnen is refusing to soften his message. His unfiltered prediction lands hard for anyone rooting for McGregor. He admits he can't construct a believable path to a McGregor win. Sonnen says he's genuinely tried, working through every possible angle for an upset, and keeps arriving at the same place. Holloway's development as a fighter, combined with his relentless pace and near-total dominance, leaves almost nothing to exploit. His conclusion is straightforward. McGregor won't find a way out of the control Holloway can exert, whether that means running away with the judge's cards, hunting a tap-out, or wearing him down on the mat.
I've never ever made a secret of it. I'm a massive Conor fan, but I'm also a massive Max fan. You know, Conor started coming up when I was just starting out my pro career. His UFC run started. So he was a guy that I genuinely looked up to as I progressed in the sport. Imagine this. Imagine Conor beating Max Holloway and getting that title shot.
I think if there's one guy who can rip up the script, it's Conor McGregor.
As he's done so many times.
Yeah.
I'm going with the Mac. I'm never going against it. I'm never going against Conor. Yeah,
Okay.
no matter against like Max Holloway, massive fan, love him. He's a great fighter, and you know he's a deserving of everything that he's gotten and all the praise. But I can't go against Conor.
Where do you think Conor could win the fight?
You know, Conor has that scary timing. He has that scary timing. Everybody that's fought him says that. That timing, and he has that sneaky power. Everybody that fights him says when he hits you, you feel it.
Yeah.
You know, it just takes one. It just takes one. Ilya knocked out Max. You know, it can be done.
Yeah.
Even with all the excitement surrounding this return, real skepticism still lingers. But make no mistake, this isn't some fleeting spark. This is a competitor who has approached his entire career like a chess match, and plenty of longtime observers say they saw this exact setup forming well in advance. His talent, his outsized personality, and a run of unforgettable moments are precisely what made him a worldwide star to begin with. The same larger-than-life McGregor who's been calling his own shots long before this return.
I'm Conor. I'm a little tight that everyone feels the way that they feel about Conor. I'm a little tight about it. Not giving him a shot. Everyone's saying this, this. I'm a little, yeah. He took 5 years off, but I'm a little tight about that. I don't understand why everyone's just like, oh, this man ain't nothing. Nah, he is something. I would have liked this to be a 3-rounder for him coming back and not a 5-rounder. I would have loved a 3-rounder, but.
You're right. You're right. You're fucking right. I didn't even think about that. You're so right, dude.
Because I think a 3-rounder for Conor, I think he's sharp enough to convince. Like Henry, we know because we've been there. We know that championship rounds, a lot changes. When you get to that 3rd one, you're like, oh, I'm done. Nope, you got 2 more. That's when the thoughts start to waver. That's real championship rounds where you got to really dig here. And
Yeah.
for 3 rounds, I think Conor, yes, he's sharp enough and he's powerful enough in his mind that he could will himself through those 3. It's those extra 2 that really separate the men from the boys. So, man, I'm excited, but I just didn't like the way that everyone's counting him out here. I didn't like that. And listen, I love Max. I'm a big Max fan, but I just don't like the.
Here's an interesting wrinkle. Some think that extended time off could actually give McGregor an edge, functioning like a factor few are properly weighing. One perspective holds that stepping away from competition for so long might genuinely work in his favor. After years of brutal top-level fighting, that phase is now behind him, and his body has essentially had a complete chance to recover. Michael Bisping thinks that lengthy rest period could turn out to be the deciding element. Fighters typically absorb enormous punishment well before fight night even happens, worn down by punishing camps. McGregor, on the other hand, has remained busy outside competition, but hasn't endured that grinding training cycle in years. Coming off this extended break, Bisping predicts he'll enter the cage feeling completely refreshed. "I don't see him being anything but dangerous," he says.
Conor to get the jump on Max. I'm trying to make one. I can tell you a whole lot of things that he can't do. I can tell you a whole bunch of things that Conor cannot do. But I'm trying to find the one thing that he can. I mean, I would tell you as clearly as I know how to stake a reputation. He cannot win a decision. I'm not telling you that he won't. It's very different words. I'm not saying to you Conor McGregor won't win if it goes to a decision. I'm telling you he can't. It's very different. I'm telling you he can't submit Max. I'm telling you he can't round and pound for positional scorecard victory of rounds. Max can't do it.
Still, as the fight draws closer, Bisping isn't without concerns. Holloway's constant pressure and non-stop output create a genuinely difficult stylistic challenge. McGregor made his name with fight-ending power in a single shot. But Bisping emphasizes that it's Holloway's combination striking, his skill on the ground, and that late fight surge that make him such a hard puzzle to crack.
What does he have to do that will, or will that never be replicated? There's simply nothing like a McGregor fight week. Pinpoint what exactly makes Conor this generational megastar. It's hard to say one moment. It's an accumulation of things, and this whole, it's kind of gone now, but the whole Mystic Mac thing, and it was just this Irish. He looked the part. He was the best on the mic we've ever seen. He told us what he was gonna do, and he did it. And it was at a time where it was just really, really special. Really special. And the UFC catered to this stardom of Conor McGregor.
Conor McGregor's return has arrived, and the buzz surrounding it stretches well past the fight itself. Even longtime figures in the sport concede that seeing him back in the cage instantly brings back why they fell in love with the sport in the first place. For one veteran MMA personality, Conor was the spark that hooked him initially, and that enthusiasm comes through clearly. That same voice is predicting a late stoppage, calling for a TKO in the championship rounds, and argues that this 5-year absence was exactly what his body required at nearly 38 years old. That break allowed him to sidestep the accumulated damage from takedowns, scrambles, chokes, and the non-stop mental strain that comes with fight preparation. According to this reasoning, the real damage doesn't come from the fight itself, it's the training camp beforehand. Grueling 8-week stretches of non-stop, year-round work quietly wear a body down over time. While other fighters have been putting themselves through exactly that kind of grind, McGregor has instead been focused on expanding his bare-knuckle promotion into a legitimate enterprise. And supporters argue he isn't just making money outside the cage, he's genuinely flourishing there. Toss out any idea of a patient, methodical strategy. The sharper analysts largely agree McGregor's best shot is an early violent knockout. And that's where the boldest claim surfaces, that a 37-year-old McGregor, 5 years removed from action and coming back from a significant injury, can move straight into a new weight class and dominate one of the roster's elite talents. It's a claim that draws plenty of doubt, since stylistically this pairing is packed with risk for McGregor. Max Holloway doesn't merely claim to be the UFC's premier boxer. He proves it every time he steps in, and his approach isn't built around one knockout blow. It's about wearing down an opponent's will. That's his trademark, illustrated by how he'll tap the canvas mid-round to invite his opponent to trade. And it's far from just a psychological trick late in the fight. It's hundreds, sometimes thousands, of strikes thrown across a full 5 rounds. Those close to him believe that sheer volume is ultimately what finishes people off. Look back at his finish of Justin Gaethje, and it's clear why McGregor's camp should be uneasy. It was a masterclass in range, footwork, and distance control, punctuated by brutal combinations and his signature spinning kicks, before Holloway delivered one of the most shocking knockouts in the sport's history, with just 10 seconds remaining. That performance alone fuels much of the current worry. Demetrius Johnson, however, sees things differently. He isn't sold on the idea that jumping to welterweight sets McGregor up perfectly. Yes, there's real power at that weight, but Johnson cautions that power tends to diminish as a fight progresses, and Holloway has always been tough to hurt. He does concede one point. Moving up spares both fighters the grueling weight cut they'd otherwise face. While most analysts favor Holloway, UFC champion Dricus du Plessis isn't among them. He's backing McGregor, openly saying his admiration for the Irishman runs too deep to pick against him. History offers a reason for hope too. Ilia Topuria's devastating knockout win over Holloway proved he isn't invincible, which keeps belief alive among McGregor supporters. Sean O'Malley offers yet another take, arguing that McGregor's greatest asset was never purely his striking. It's the unshakable confidence that has defined his career. O'Malley believes McGregor is at his most dangerous when calm, fearless, and applying pressure right from the opening bell, predicting crisp footwork, powerful kicks, and the same timing that's always set up his left hand. Even so, O'Malley acknowledges Holloway's toughness could dismantle that entire approach, since Max never fights cautiously and is always willing to absorb damage to land his own. So counting McGregor out completely would be a mistake. Others, including a former two-division champion, believe McGregor clearly wins the opening 3 rounds, citing his precision, power, and poise as a dangerous combination. The bigger question is what unfolds if the fight extends further, since that's traditionally where conditioning and pace shift these kinds of matchups. Dismissing McGregor entirely, this argument overlooks the very qualities that made him one of the sport's most captivating competitors. Henry Cejudo says he isn't ready to write McGregor off either, though he admits he's surprised by how subdued the response to this comeback feels compared to previous ones. The buzz simply isn't matching past levels, something reflected in both the layoff and the current betting odds, suggesting a portion of the fan base has already tuned out. Cejudo, for his part, is more focused on Holloway's continued growth, pointing to sharper movement and tactical improvement as what he believes will ultimately decide the outcome. So when these two finally meet in the cage, who do you think comes out on top? Drop your prediction below and subscribe for more.